And then I came into the office the other day, and Dr. Michael left me a Valentine present. And how perfect. How right on the theme. I don't do this. There we go. There we go. Isn't that wonderful? Now take that a step farther, and let's look at it as if each of those bubbles had a magnifying quality to it. And the more we look at each other, and the more we encounter each other, and the more we look with and through and in each other, we get to see, we get that magnification of the divine. So we talk a lot about it being an inside job, and there's work to be done in our spiritual journey that we have to do on our own, and that's very true. But I think in this idea of unity and multiplicity, of the many in one, it's really important to recognize on a daily basis how important it is for us to interact, for us to be in community like we are here. That's the reason we're here. Because we get to reflect with and in each other. We get to help each other expand and grow in the reality and the truth of who we are. And in that, no matter what's going on in the outer world, we find a place in the truth. We find a place of peace. That's what we bring to each other. That's the gift we give to each other. So those differences, those little things that we can sometimes have as snags in our oneness, in our idea of unity. And I know for myself, I spot that happening in two ways in particular that I'll share with you this morning. And that one is, when something like that, when I'm feeling that abrasiveness and not seeing the qualities of God in something that's going on in my life or in someone, I begin to mutter. The other thing that I do is I begin to script. I can be in my car, for example, and I'll be running through this dialogue. Nobody else is there, but I'm running through this dialogue of, boy, this is what I'd like to say. Just got a quote from Abraham the other morning. Nothing needs to be fixed. Everything is unfolding perfectly. So when you stand in your now, accepting that all is well, then from that vibration, you become surrounded by more and more evidence that all is well. But when you're convinced that things are broken, that there is pollution, or that things have gone wrong, or that the government is doing conspiracies, then what happens is you get caught up in that vibration, and you begin to manifest that kind of stuff, and then you say, see, I told you that things were going wrong. Best way I know how to catch myself at doing just that. Best way I know how to turn and change my perception and walk in a different direction. Best way I know how, each and every one of you. Because without the reminders that I get from each and every one of you and from a spiritual community like this, I'd be getting myself stuck pretty often in that kind of thinking. And I don't want to be there. I don't know how many of you get Science of Mind magazine, but last month there was an excellent article by Reverend Jesse Jennings in Houston. He called it the Science of Mind Primer. And it was a brief article that encapsulated the science of mind. And it was beautiful. I thought it was just beautifully done. And he says in there, it is not our fault we are sick. You know, we talk a lot about cause and effect here, but sometimes it's easy to use that teaching and get into a lot of fault finding and blaming. So I want to let go of that too. It is not our fault we are sick. The more we handle the experience of suffering in a self-supportive way, the more we allow the blueprint to come forward and become the prevailing in our lives. Sickness or any undesirable state is giving us good information about our mental and emotional processes. And then in my favorite book, This Thing Called You, life is a mirror reflecting your images of thought. If you see confusion in this mirror, don't blame the law of reflection. Don't even bother to blame yourself. But be willing to acknowledge that this confusion must be a reflection of your own consciousness. A reflection, a magnification, the accentuating of the idea of the divine in each and every one. I love too that one of the quotes in Science of Mind textbook for our meditation recently was that the world is beginning, and beginning is italicized. And of course this was written decades ago, but I dare say we're probably still in the beginning of realizing that we have learned all we should through suffering and pain. There's so much more for us to gain in our experience as expressions of the divine, and in this expression we call life, than through suffering and pain. So what do we do, and how do we do it? The action that needs to be taken is we have to live as the expressions of the divine that we are. We can't just talk about it. We can't just read it in a book. Can't just sing songs about it. We really have to find a way to embody and live life as an expression of the divine. That's one of the reasons why I love that song. You've got to get up every morning, not once in a while, not just on Tuesdays. You've got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. Then people are going to treat you better. You're going to find, yes you will, that you're beautiful as you feel. And that's part of what I think too about this practice and opening myself up to being more of an expression of the divine day to day, that I get up every morning with a smile on my face. The only one at my house that sees that, unless I'm looking in the mirror, is Gracie, my cat. So it's not about doing it for the rest of the world. It's not about my being able to come up here and stand in front of you and smile and be happy. It's exactly what those lyrics say. It's about putting a smile on my face to show the world all the love in my heart, because that's going to change, that's going to transform not only my perception, but the way that I feel about me. And when my light is shining brightly right here,